Guy this past weekend literally rocked their world, and not in a good way.
The hell is that?
Have you heard anything unusual in the sky lately? Residents in southern Putnam County have been experiencing some strange noises this past weekend, and it's got everyone a bit curious. Imagine a loud boom echoing down from the sky. That's what people in Putnam County have been describing. Similar sounds have also been reported by residents in North St. Louis County, leaving everyone scratching their heads about the source. These mysterious noises have certainly captured the attention of scientists, who are eager to understand what's causing them. But for the people who've heard them, it's more than just scientific curiosity. These loud, unexplained sounds can be a bit unnerving. So, what exactly are these noises, and where are they coming from? Could they be a sign of the end of the age, as some people are wondering? We'll delve into these questions and explore some possible explanations in this video. The descriptions of the sounds themselves are quite interesting. People have reported a combination of deep rumbling noises, like thunder in the distance, mixed with screeching metal sounds and even haunting wails. What's most puzzling is that these sounds seem to be happening all over the world, with no clear explanation for their source. Residents northeast of Oklahoma City have described a loud, high-pitched noise that keeps them up at night. The strangest part, just like everywhere else, no one seems to know what it is or where it's coming from. These reports from all corners of the globe have sparked a lively discussion online and in the news, with people trying to piece together the puzzle. These strange sounds are definitely making everyone frightened. It's natural to wonder if they could be a sign of something bigger, and some people are even worried they might be a sign of the apocalypse. The Bible does talk about future events, including things that might happen before Jesus returns. One common question people have is whether the Bible mentions powerful countries, like the United States, and what their future might hold. The good news is, studying the Bible and history can actually give us some clues. It's not just about dry facts, though. Understanding the Bible can help us grasp God's promises and prepare for whatever the future may bring. Before we dive into these strange sounds and their potential meanings, let's take a quick look at what the Bible says about the end times. We'll explore biblical prophecies about the apocalypse and the second coming of Christ. Get ready for a fascinating exploration. Are these sounds truly a sign of the end, or is there a more natural explanation? In the Bible's book of Revelation, written by John, there's a famous part about sounds from the sky during the apocalypse. In chapter 8, verse 16, John describes a really quiet time in heaven for about 30 minutes after the seventh seal is opened. Then, 7 angels appear with 7 trumpets, all ready to blow them. Verse 6 says, "The 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets got ready to blow them." These trumpet blasts are like a warning before a bunch of bad things and disasters happen on earth. It's similar to how trumpets were used in the Old Testament, especially in the book of Exodus, where they signaled God's presence and when he was about to do something important. Also in chapter 11, verses 15 to 19, the blowing of the 7th trumpet is a super important moment in the whole apocalypse story. This part tells us about the end of God's plan for saving some people and punishing others. It means Jesus Christ is coming back soon, and God's perfect world will be on earth. This big event comes with loud noises and bright lights in the sky, like thunder, lightning, and an earthquake, to show how important and powerful it all is. While the 7th trumpet blast marks the peak of God's plan to save the good and punish the bad, with evil being defeated and good winning in the end, there's more to the story. The New Testament also mentions another sound from heaven as a sign of Jesus' return and the end times, the voice of the archangel. In 1 Thessalonians 4:16-17, the Apostle Paul talks about Jesus' future return with a loud trumpet call from God and the voice of the archangel. This passage, often called the rapture, describes believers being raised from the dead and joining Christ when he returns. The archangel's voice acts like an announcement for this huge event, letting everyone know God's promises are coming true and his people are finally being saved. Sounds from heaven Being a sign of the apocalypse or Jesus' return at the end of times is a common theme throughout the Bible's prophecies. From the trumpets in Revelation to the archangel's voice announcing Jesus, these noises from the sky remind us that God is in control and his plans for history will ultimately play out. As believers wait for these prophecies to come true, they're called to be watchful, stay faithful, and be ready for the Lord's arrival. Many people believe God will send unusual things happening in the sky as a warning before he steps in to punish us for our wrongdoings and save us from destroying ourselves. Some wonder if these are the signs the Bible talks about, signaling the end of the world as we know it. Are we truly in the final moments? Is everything about to end? Some people even think now's a good time for Jesus to come back. There's definitely a belief that Jesus' return might be near. So what does the Bible say? In the book of Joel, God tells the prophet about amazing things that will happen in the sky before a super important day comes. God's message meant for people living in the end times goes like this: I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the coming of the great and awesome day of the Lord. The Bible talks about other prophets who saw these weird sky happenings too. Isaiah said the stars and constellations would stop shining, the sun would go dark, and the moon wouldn't light up the night. Isn't that interesting that what Joel and Isaiah saw matches what John the Apostle described in a vision? He said, I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood. And the stars of heaven fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its late figs when it is shaken by a mighty wind. Then the sky receded as a scroll when it was rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. These crazy things in the sky happening when the sixth seal is opened will totally freak people out. God is basically using these signs as a giant announcement that he's about to step in and take charge. Similar to stories in the Bible about God punishing people for bad things, like the story of Noah, there's a feeling of things getting serious. Believers feel a strong urge to warn others to change their ways and get ready for what might happen next. This feeling of something big being about to happen isn't limited to just one religion. People from many different faiths share a sense of worry and excitement about these strange events. Religious leaders are using them as a chance to remind people of their beliefs and encourage them to get closer to God. It's interesting how these events seem similar to what the Bible prophesied about the end times, especially in Revelation and what Jesus said. There are many Bible verses that seem to describe what's happening now, which makes believers think a lot about what it all means. But what about people who aren't religious? For them, these sounds are just a mystery, something science needs to figure out, not something related to God. Even those who doubt religion can't help but feel a little worried, because these sounds can't be explained by normal science and seem to suggest something big we don't yet understand. Even though scientists have tried explaining these sounds with ideas like air movements or messed up electrical signals, their explanations haven't been perfect. There's still a lot we don't know about these sounds, which keeps people wondering what's really going on. One thing's for sure, these strange noises are a reminder that bad things can happen and that none of us are invincible. Whether you think they're a sign from God or a scientific mystery, they make us think about our biggest fears and how short life can be. When things are scary and confusing, it's natural to want comfort and answers. Religious people might pray and try to follow their faith more closely to feel better. Others might search for explanations, wanting to understand the universe and our place in it all. The most important thing about these sounds isn't necessarily why they're happening, but how they make us feel. They make us think about death, what it means to be alive, and the possibility of there being more to life than we know. As we look up at the night sky and hear these strange sounds, let's find the bravery to search for answers, hold on to hope, and come together no matter what happens next. In a way, these sounds are a message, a call to be better people, a plea for understanding, and a reminder that faith can be strong even when things are scary. Now here's the thing. Some scientists might try to explain these signs as just natural events, like really bad weather instead of signs from God. The Bible, however, says these signs are definitely from God. It's hard to imagine, but many people will probably just ignore them anyway. But those who are paying attention and praying will understand what the signs mean. Did you know that words in the Bible weren't the same as the science words we use today? Back then, people didn't have fancy terms to describe the weather. The Bible talks about the sun, moon, and stars being dark. This kind of thing has happened before, but on a smaller scale. For instance, a thick cloud of smoke from a fire can block out the sun for a bit over a certain area. In 1991, one of the biggest volcanoes in the 20th century erupted in the Philippines. This giant mountain, called Mount Pinatubo, blew out a huge amount of ash, like 1.2 cubic miles of it. The ash cloud spread out like a giant umbrella, reaching 250 miles across and 21 miles high. By the afternoon, everything around the volcano was completely dark. Mount Pinatubo is just one of many volcanoes around the Pacific Ocean. If a bunch of these volcanoes erupted at the same time, they could block out the sun for a long time over a giant area of Earth. Many religions believe that things happening in space have spiritual meanings, and eclipses are a big one. For Christians, the Bible is their guide to understanding space and what it might mean for us. There are even parts of the Bible that talk about scary things happening in space and how they might be connected to the future. One famous part is in the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verses 29 to 31. In this passage, Jesus talks about what will happen when he returns. He says that after a really bad time, the sun will go dark, the moon won't shine, and the stars will fall out of the sky. Then a special sign will appear in the sky, and everyone on earth will be sad. They'll see Jesus coming back on clouds with amazing power. He'll send out angels with a loud trumpet to gather up all the good people from all over the world. This passage in Matthew is interesting because it suggests that weird happenings in space, like the sun and moon going dark, might come before Jesus returns and everything changes forever. Some people who read this passage believe that solar and lunar eclipses, where the sun or moon gets blocked out, might be the kind of darkness Jesus was talking about. They look at these eclipses as a sign that the Bible's prophecies are coming true. Another part of the New Testament, the book of Revelation, also talks about the end of times using dramatic descriptions of space. In Revelation chapter 6, verses 12 to 14, there's a whole section about scary things happening in space. Again, it mentions crazy stuff involving the sun, moon, and stars, which some people connect to eclipses or other space events. The writing in Revelation is kind of like a puzzle with lots of symbols, and experts have different ideas about what it all means, but many agree that it describes a major shakeup in space that goes along with the end of the world as we know it. For centuries, humanity has looked to the heavens for signs, weaving celestial events into the rich tapestry of prophecy. The Bible itself offers a compelling example of this connection. Even the Old Testament, often overshadowed by its New Testament counterpart, brims with passages that imbue the movements of the cosmos with profound meaning. One such example resides in the book of Joel 2:30-31. Here, the text paints a vivid picture of the sun dimming and the moon turning blood red, heralding the momentous day of the Lord, a time of both divine judgment and redemption. This evocative language resonates with descriptions of the end times found in the New Testament, reinforcing the idea that eclipses and other cosmic phenomena hold a deeper spiritual significance within the prophetic tradition. However, interpreting these descriptions too literally might not always be the most fruitful approach. Take, for instance, the passage in Matthew 24:39 that mentions stars falling from heaven. Could this be reinterpreted to encompass a broader range of celestial objects? Perhaps the falling stars represent meteoroids, comets, or asteroids streaking through Earth's atmosphere and creating a breathtaking light show. Interestingly, science aligns with this interpretation. Astronomers estimate a significant number of these objects bombard our planet's surface every year. The connection between celestial events and prophecy goes beyond mere coincidence. The Bible offers a unique perspective where the movements of the cosmos can be interpreted as signs, portents of things to come, or reflections of a divine hand shaping the course of history. Even when the language appears fantastical, as with falling stars, closer examination reveals potential scientific underpinnings. In this way, the Bible demonstrates its ability to bridge the gap between the heavenly and the earthly realms. But suppose the heavenly signs to come are caused by natural laws of physics. In that case, God will orchestrate these events in an extreme and stunning display. If these wonders are supernatural, God can alter the courses of the heavenly bodies and the natural elements from the norm. Besides looking to verses in the Bible, people might also use interpretations of eclipses in a religious way, drawing on other traditions and beliefs. For instance, in Islam, there are ideas about signs in the sky that will happen before the Day of Judgment, which they call the hour or Yawm al-Qiyamah. These signs are mentioned in sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, hadiths, and other Islamic texts, and they're seen as warnings that the end of the world is coming soon. One important sign is the sun rising from a different direction. Islamic teachings say that before Judgment Day, the sun will rise in the west instead of the east, where it normally comes up. This is considered a big warning that the end times are near. Another cosmic event that's supposed to happen before the end is the moon splitting in two. This comes from a story where the Prophet Muhammad supposedly performed a miracle by splitting the moon. Even though this happened during his lifetime, as a special sign of his role as a prophet, it's also seen as a symbol of a similar event that will happen before Judgment Day. In Islam, there's also the idea that the sun and moon getting dark could be signs of Judgment Day. This could be like a partial eclipse, or even the sun and moon disappearing completely. It's seen as a sign that things in nature won't be normal anymore, and that God's judgment is coming. These signs in the sky are believed to be warnings that Judgment Day is on the horizon, which in Islam means the end of the world as we know it and the start of the afterlife. But it's not just Islam that connects eclipses to big events. Even ancient civilizations like the Maya and Aztecs thought eclipses were super important. They often believed eclipses were messages from their gods, warnings, or even battles between celestial beings. For example, the Maya associated eclipses with a giant jaguar swallowing the sun. And getting back to this video we're watching, this recent eclipse is still a mystery. With no clear explanation from science, there are all sorts of theories out there, some crazier than others. People might be looking for religious signs, aliens, or even natural phenomena we haven't discovered yet. Despite throwing everything at this weird noise, no one can figure out what's making it. This has led to all sorts of ideas, from plain old explanations to some real head-scratchers. Dr. Glenn McPherson, who's been digging deep into these sounds, thinks low-frequency radio waves might be to blame. But that's just one theory, and the truth is still out there. Each idea is interesting, but none of them solve the mystery for sure. So, the sound in North St. Louis County isn't the only one giving people the chills. From Canada to New Zealand and everywhere in between, there have been reports of strange noises. But what's causing these spooky sounds? Are they signs from beyond, something natural we just don't understand yet? Or maybe our brains are just making sense of random noises because we're scared of what we don't know? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is going on with these bizarre sounds? Hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more.
Move now! Leave your stuff! Go! The fire's at the back! Go!
There's a lot going on with Israel right now. Political fights, disagreements with world leaders, and even some international punishments. But on top of all that, something incredible is happening in Jerusalem. People are saying they've seen Jesus there, and there's a strange humming sound coming from the sky. Could this be a sign of the end times? And why Jerusalem out of all the places on earth? We'll answer those questions before the end of the video, so stick around. Before we dive in, though, a quick favor. If you enjoy our videos, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. We love hearing your thoughts in the comments below, too. Let us know what you think and what other topics you'd like to see covered. Thanks for your support. Now, for our Christian viewers, you just saw a reminder about the most important teaching of Jesus. The core of Christianity is all about loving God completely and showing kindness and compassion to others, whether they're close friends or strangers you meet every day. In the heart of Jerusalem, whispers of a forgotten age hung heavy in the air. It felt like the old city itself was holding its breath, waiting for something. Then, without warning, a sound unlike anything anyone had ever heard before echoed through the streets. It was a powerful, beautiful noise, unlike anything on earth. It was so deep and moving that it seemed to touch people's souls. It felt electric, like the air itself was buzzing with energy. It was as if the whole world had shifted for a moment to let this sound come through. This incredible music shattered the quiet of Jerusalem. It filled the ancient streets and holy sites with a feeling of something sacred and powerful. It felt like the sky itself had opened up to reveal a sight beyond human understanding. The calm sky before was now transformed into a breathtaking spectacle, as if the heavens and the earth had connected in a special moment to show something amazing. Imagine yourself standing on the old, worn stones of Jerusalem. The city is bathed in the warm light of the setting sun, painting everything in a beautiful golden glow. Suddenly, the air is filled with the sound of trumpets. But these aren't ordinary trumpets. They sound like they're announcing something massive, something that speaks directly to the hearts of everyone who believes, and even those who haven't found faith yet. Forget the peaceful clinking of church bells. Something much more powerful is shaking Jerusalem. A booming trumpet call echoes through the city, a sound unlike anything people have ever heard. It's clear and strong, filled with mystery and a grandeur that stops everyone in their tracks. It's both amazing and a little scary, a sound that seems to come from another world. This trumpet blast fills the air, even louder than the setting sun's glow. It paints a breathtaking picture in the sky. And then, along with the sound, a figure appears, bathed in the golden light. It's tall and majestic, easy to see against the old buildings below. It has a kind but powerful face, and everyone can't help but stare. The figure wears flowing robes that seem to move on their own, and it feels like something wise and holy is standing right there. The figure looks exactly like the pictures of Jesus Christ we've all seen in books and paintings. It doesn't say a word, but just being there fills everyone with a sense of peace and calm. People who look at it feel a deep sense of serenity. As the figure floats in the sky, glowing with an otherworldly light, whispers erupt through the crowd. Many believe they're seeing Jesus himself. Drawn by the trumpet and overwhelmed by the feeling in the air, they talk about seeing visions and prophecies come true. They think this might be a sign from God, a message of hope for a city filled with problems and fear. So, you might be wondering by now, is this a sign of the end times? Well, there's one way of looking at it based on religious prophecies, especially Christian beliefs about the end of the world. The last book in the Bible, Revelation, talks a lot about what will happen before Jesus comes back and the world ends. There's even a part about figures from heaven and trumpets signaling the apocalypse. So, for some people who believe strongly in the Bible, seeing someone who looks like Jesus and hearing a loud trumpet could definitely seem like a sign from the book of Revelation coming true, and that the end is near. The Bible verse Revelation 1:7 says, "Look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all peoples on earth will mourn because of him. So shall it be. Amen." In this part, The writer John is describing what it will be like when Jesus comes back to earth. It's important to remember the difference between the rapture, which is when Jesus takes believers up to heaven, and the second coming, which is a public event everyone will see. John says here that everyone will see Jesus at the second coming. There are other Bible verses that talk about what will happen in Israel before the second coming, too. Zechariah 12:10 says, "And I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and pleas for mercy, so that when they look on me, on him whom they have pierced, they shall mourn for him, as one mourns for an only child, and weep bitterly over him, as one weeps over a firstborn." This verse talks about a time when people in Israel will realize they hurt Jesus and feel sorry for it. The Bible offers some clues about what the trumpet and figure might mean. Remember, some Christians believe in the end times, a period of great destruction before Jesus returns to rule the earth. The book of Revelation describes 7 trumpets being blown by angels. Each trumpet blast brings a terrible event or punishment to earth. It's like God's way of announcing judgment and starting the apocalypse. Revelation 8:7 says, "The first angel sounded his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, and it was hurled down on the earth. A third of the earth was burned up, a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up." Many Christians believe these trumpet judgments are signs of God's anger and the beginning of the end times. On the other hand, Revelation 11:15 has a different take on trumpets. It says, "The 7th angel sounded his trumpet, and there were loud voices in heaven, which said, 'The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Messiah, and he will reign forever and ever.'" This verse suggests that trumpet blasts can also signal God's victory and the establishment of his kingdom here on earth. But that's not the only way to look at this. Some people might see this whole thing as a symbol of hope, especially during a time with so much fighting. The figure looking like Jesus could be a reminder to be kind, forgiving, and try to get along. It could be a message that we should all work together to create peace. Now, Jerusalem being the place where this all happened is pretty interesting too. Jerusalem is a super important place for 3 major religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Jerusalem is also incredibly old, with tons of history layered on the top of itself, like an archaeological dig. Different cultures and empires have conquered, destroyed, and rebuilt it over thousands of years. It's been a meeting point for all sorts of beliefs and ways of life, from way back in the time of the Canaanites to the Ottomans and British in more recent history. Each group that's been there has left its mark on the city. Some people believe the Bible predicts major events happening at the end of times in Jerusalem, like a giant fight between good and evil. They believe God will then set up a perfect world on earth, with Jerusalem as its center. The last book in the Christian Bible, Revelation, talks a lot about Jerusalem and these events. It mentions things like rebuilding a special temple that was destroyed a long time ago, a powerful and evil leader appearing, and then Jesus coming back to rule the world from Jerusalem. On top of the religious significance, Jerusalem's real-world situation adds another layer to why it might be important for this supposed event. The city is a major point of conflict. Both Israel and Palestine claim Jerusalem as their capital city. This has caused a lot of fighting and disagreements for many years. There are important holy sites for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all located in Jerusalem, which adds to the tension. This ongoing conflict makes Jerusalem a symbol of arguments, unfairness, and suffering. Here's what's happening now. In recent years, Israel has been criticized for how it treats Palestinians in the areas it controls. Some people say Israel isn't following international rules and is hurting Palestinian rights. This has caused other countries to be upset with Israel and put limitations on them, like not trading with them as much or stopping some Israelis from traveling freely. In recent times, Israel has been getting a lot of criticism for how it treats people in the occupied territories. International organizations and other countries are watching Israel closely because they're worried about human rights, and if Israel is following international rules. Specifically, people are unhappy about a few things Israel is doing. First, Israel keeps building more settlements in the West Bank. These are like towns for Israelis only, on land Palestinians claim for their own country. Second, Israel restricts movement of goods and people into and out of Gaza, which makes life difficult for Palestinians there. Finally, Israel has used force against Palestinian protesters, which some people think is too harsh. Because of these actions, some countries and organizations have limited contact with Israel, or put in place sanctions. Sanctions are like punishments, where countries might restrict trade with Israel or stop selling them certain things. The idea is to pressure Israel to change its ways. Even the United States, a close friend of Israel for a long time, has criticized some of its recent policies. Especially under Presidents Obama and Biden, the U.S. has emphasized that Israel should treat people fairly and follow international rules. President Biden, in particular, has said it's important to consider both sides of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. With all the history, religion, and political tension surrounding Jerusalem, it makes perfect sense that Jesus appearing there with a powerful sound would be a huge deal. It's like a giant spotlight on Jerusalem, reminding everyone it's a special place where God and humanity meet, a place filled with big dreams and big worries. People of many faiths see Jerusalem as a place of prophecies, messages from God, and hope for a better future. This mix of religious symbols, worries about the end times, and the ongoing conflict in the region has everyone talking. Believers and people who doubt it all are both trying to figure out what it means. It's not just the news anymore. Videos, pictures, and stories from people who say they saw it themselves are all over social media. Not only has this event grabbed the attention of religious people, but it's also gotten people who aren't particularly religious thinking too. It brings up big questions about life, the universe, and everything. Like, is there a God? What's beyond our world? And is this a sign of something bigger coming? These questions are making people from all sorts of backgrounds want to talk about what happened. Of course, with so many religions and cultures out there, everyone has their own take on what it means. Christians, for example, might see it as a miracle from God, maybe even a sign that Jesus is coming back soon, depending on their beliefs. Others might be more cautious, wanting to wait and see before believing everything they hear. The same goes for people of other faiths. Some might connect it to stories or prophecies in their own religion, while others might look at it from a more practical viewpoint, wondering what it means for society, or even how it might affect people's minds. This event in Jerusalem has people of all faiths and backgrounds talking, sparking debates and conversations about what it means to believe in something, what's real, and how we interpret things. It's not the first time something strange has happened in the sky that people thought was a message from above. Throughout history, different cultures and religions have seen things like comets, eclipses, or even just unusual stars as signs from the gods or spirits. Back in ancient times, people like Pliny the Elder, a Roman scientist, wrote about comets, and Herodotus, a Greek historian, even documented a big sun eclipse way back in 585 BC. They thought these things were warnings or messages from the heavens. Remember the Star of Bethlehem from the Bible story? That's another famous example, something weird in the sky leading people to Jesus. Scientists might argue about what it really was, but for Christians, it's a powerful symbol of God's involvement in human history. It's not just the Bible. Many cultures have stories about visitors from the sky, like angels or prophets, coming down to talk to people. These stories often involve prophecies, wisdom, or warnings, because humans have always wanted to understand the bigger picture, where we come from, and what happens after we die. In a famous Greek story called the Iliad, the gods are said to have come down from their mountain home to get involved in human stuff. Similarly, in a key Hindu scripture called the Bhagavad Gita, a god named Krishna shows his true, powerful form to a warrior on a battlefield. Just recently, there were reports of a figure that looked like Jesus appearing in the sky over Jerusalem. This has caused a lot of thinking among religious folks around the world. For Christians, it brings up ideas about the end of times, forgiveness, and Jesus coming back again, just like it says in the Bible. Christians believe that Jesus became human, died and came back to life, and promised to return one day. Seeing a figure like Jesus in the sky, with strange things happening in the heavens, strongly connects with these beliefs and gives Christians more hope that what the Bible says will really happen. What's interesting is that this sighting isn't just important to Christians. In Islam, Jesus, who they call Isa, is seen as a prophet who will play a big role in the future. So the sighting of a Jesus-like figure in Jerusalem could also be important to Muslims and might lead to discussions about what this means for the end of times in Islam. People of different faiths see the sighting in Jerusalem in different ways. Christians might think it's a sign that Jesus is coming back again, like the Bible says. But folks from other religions have their own ideas based on what they believe. For Muslims, this sighting has them talking about what the end of times might be like and the special role Jerusalem plays. They believe Jesus, who they call Isa, will return someday as a good leader who will defeat evil and bring peace to the world. The sighting has also gotten Jews thinking about Jerusalem. It's their most holy city, and this event has them discussing what their religious writings say about Jerusalem and the Messiah they're still waiting for. Synagogues, which are Jewish houses of worship, have been holding special classes and talks to explore what this sighting means according to their traditions. People who follow other religions, like Hinduism, Buddhism, or Sikhism, will also have their own interpretations based on their scriptures and beliefs. These interpretations can be quite different, but they often share a common respect for something greater than ourselves and the idea that all religions are somehow connected. That recent light show over Jerusalem, where some people saw a figure like Jesus and heard loud sounds, has scientists scratching their heads for an explanation. While some might see it as a miracle, scientists have down-to-earth ideas based on what they can see and test. One idea is that it could have been a trick of the eye, caused by the air itself. Sometimes the air gets all mixed up with hot layers near the ground and cold layers above. This, along with how light bends as it travels through air and even clouds in the sky, can make things appear different than they are. These are all normal things that science can explain, even though they might seem strange or magical, especially if something religious or emotional is happening. Another possibility is fancy new technology. These days, we can create super realistic images that look like they're floating in the air, kind of like a 3D movie, but way bigger. There have even been big light shows like this before for concerts or art displays. Maybe something like that was going on in Jerusalem. Our own minds can play tricks on us. If we're expecting to see something, or if everyone around us is talking about it, we might see things that aren't really there. Our brains are good at filling in the blanks, using what we already know and what our culture tells us to make sense of the world. So what one person sees might be totally different from what another person sees, even if they were both looking at the same thing. Even though science is great at figuring out how the world works, it can only explain so much. Science relies on seeing things for itself, testing ideas, and getting the same results over and over. This is a powerful way to learn, but it doesn't always capture the whole picture, especially when it comes to human experiences or spiritual stuff. One way science explains things is by breaking them down into smaller parts, kind of like taking a machine apart to see how it works. This has been super helpful for science, but it can miss the bigger picture. For example, many religions and spiritual traditions believe that our minds, bodies, and spirits are all connected. Science might explain how our minds and bodies work, but it can't really explain the spirit part yet. Another thing that limits science is that it relies on evidence we can see and measure. This is great for things like gravity or how fast light travels. But what about things we can't measure, like seeing a vision or feeling a deep connection to something bigger than ourselves? Science has a hard time studying those kinds of experiences. On top of that, even scientists can have blind spots. They might have certain ideas about how the world works before they even start studying something, and that can affect what they find. It's like wearing colored glasses. Everything you see gets a little tinted by those glasses. This can lead to explanations that might be missing something or just plain wrong. Even though science has its limits, some folks are starting to see how science and spirituality might actually connect, especially in areas like studying the mind, the tiniest building blocks of the universe, and unusual experiences. Scientists and thinkers are exploring new ideas that combine scientific research with spiritual wisdom, hoping to bridge the gap between what we can observe and what we experience inside ourselves. One area they're looking at is consciousness, which is basically how our minds work and what makes us aware. Researchers are trying to figure out what consciousness is, how our minds can be altered, and how our thoughts might influence our reality. They're looking at what science tells us and what spiritual traditions have to say about it too. Another area is quantum physics, which studies the very, very small stuff in the universe. This field has shown some surprising connections between the observer, the person doing the studying, and the thing being observed. It challenges the idea that everything happens for a reason and that things are predetermined. The principles behind quantum entanglement, non-locality, and superposition suggest that everything is fundamentally connected, which is similar to what some spiritual traditions believe about unity and oneness. Finally, there's psychical research, which looks into strange experiences like telepathy, reading minds, precognition, knowing something will happen before it does, and near-death experiences. These experiences are hard to explain with science as we know it today, but they might offer hints about how consciousness works and how it connects to the physical world. Even though the science community isn't totally convinced about these experiences yet, they're still interesting and worth exploring. While science offers a powerful lens to understand the world, it doesn't replace the depth and meaning many find in faith. The recent phenomenon in Jerusalem, whether a cosmic trick or something more, reminds us of the mysteries that surround us. For those seeking answers beyond the physical realm, the teachings of Jesus offer a path. His message of love, forgiveness, and hope has resonated with billions for centuries. If you're searching for purpose, connection, or deeper understanding of existence, consider exploring the teachings of Jesus. You might find the very peace and fulfillment you seek. In the quiet suburban expanse northeast of Oklahoma City, a mysterious, high-pitched sound has become a nightly intruder, disrupting sleep and igniting curiosity. Its origin remains shrouded in an enigma, a perplexing puzzle for both residents and investigators. Meanwhile, on the opposite coast, New York City has found itself under siege from an unexpected adversary: swarms of tiny insects. While health officials assure the public of no immediate danger, the sheer volume of these creatures has become a nuisance. These incidents, seemingly unrelated, converge on a broader theme: the fragility of our world and the unpredictable nature of the challenges we face. From the biblical to the biological, our planet is experiencing a period of upheaval. Ancient texts speak of miraculous signs and celestial wonders as manifestations of divine intervention. A star leading wise men, a pillar of fire guiding lost souls. These are narratives woven into the fabric of our spiritual heritage. But can we find parallels in the extraordinary events of our time? The biblical plagues of old find echoes in the modern world. The locust swarms that have ravaged parts of Africa, threatening food security for millions, bear a haunting resemblance to the biblical depictions. And, as if nature were conspiring to test our resilience, the United States has endured a relentless onslaught of natural disasters. Wildfires, hurricanes, floods, and winter storms. To this litany of perils, we must add the silent threat of tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and tornadoes. Beyond the cataclysmic, there are more insidious threats. Disease-carrying insects, often overlooked, pose a significant risk to public health. And as climate change continues to alter our environment, the potential for new and emerging diseases grows. It is in this context that the warnings of religious texts take on a new urgency. The prophecies of a world in turmoil, marked by natural disasters, famine, and disease, seem to be unfolding before our eyes. Are these events isolated incidents, or are they harbingers of a more profound shift in the cosmic order? As humanity grapples with these questions, one thing is clear: our world is changing, and the challenges we face are increasingly complex and interconnected. Spring of 2024 unfolded like a script from an ancient prophecy. Nature's raw power was on full display. China's rivers swelled, Dubai grappled with icy storms, and Japan felt the earth's tremors. But it was in Jerusalem, a city steeped in history and spirituality, where the most extraordinary events transpired. Videos emerged of ethereal sounds echoing through the city's skies, and images circulated of what appeared to be a celestial projection. These phenomena ignited a global conversation about the sacred and the inexplicable. While many dismissed these as atmospheric anomalies or digital fabrications, others found in them a profound spiritual significance. Jerusalem, however, was about to witness a more tangible manifestation of nature's power. A biblical plague, long consigned to the pages of history, was about to be rewritten. Billions of locusts, awakened from a 2-decade slumber, emerged from the desert. Their swarm darkened the sky, a living, breathing testament to the fragility of our world and the unpredictability of nature. This unprecedented event has sparked a fervent debate about the nature of reality. Are we witnessing random occurrences or a divine script unfolding before our eyes? Yet, amidst the spiritual interpretations, there's a pressing need for practical considerations. The locust swarm is not merely a biblical allegory, it's a real-world threat to agriculture and food security. The conditions that birthed this phenomenon, a region's delicate ecological balance disrupted, are a stark reminder of humanity's impact on the planet. Furthermore, the broader Middle Eastern context cannot be ignored. The dwindling waters of the Euphrates and Tigris, Rivers that have shaped civilizations are now a source of tension and conflict. This water crisis, coupled with the locust plague, paints a picture of a region under immense pressure. The potential for instability and humanitarian crises is a looming shadow. As the world grapples with these challenges, it's impossible to ignore the eerie parallels to ancient prophecies. Wars, famines, and pestilences were foretold as harbingers of a new era. While we cannot definitively say that these events are fulfilling a biblical prophecy, they undeniably serve as a wake-up call. Our planet is at a crossroads. The choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow. Whether we view these events as divine signs or as products of complex natural systems, one thing is clear: we must act with wisdom, compassion, and a deep respect for the Earth and its inhabitants. By addressing the root causes of climate change, promoting sustainable practices, and fostering international cooperation, we can build a more resilient and equitable world. The stories of the past can serve as both a warning and a guide, inspiring us to create a future where humans and nature coexist in harmony. The recent surge in insect infestations across the globe has cast a long shadow over humanity. The biblical account of human history presents a cyclical pattern: conflict, scarcity, and disease. These elements, intertwined in a complex tapestry, form a framework through which many interpret the challenges of the modern world. Jesus' prophecy of nation rising against nation, Luke 21:10, finds its tragic echo in the world wars, events that reshaped the global order at a staggering human cost. The aftermath of these conflicts often led to periods of famine and economic hardship. The Jewish people, subjected to genocide during World War II, found their resilience tested to the extreme. Their subsequent re-establishment of a homeland in Israel is a testament to the enduring human spirit, yet it has also placed them in a region marked by perpetual conflict, mirroring the biblical narrative of a people chosen and tested. The biblical prophets, such as Isaiah and Jeremiah, warned of environmental catastrophes, including famines and plagues, as consequences of human disobedience. These warnings resonate with contemporary concerns about climate change, deforestation, and the disruption of ecological balance. The recent locust swarms, for instance, can be seen as a symptom of a larger environmental crisis, a stark reminder of humanity's impact on the planet. The book of Genesis offers another relevant perspective. Joseph's dream of 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine, serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of preparation and foresight. His actions in storing grain saved a nation from starvation. Today, as we grapple with the threat of food shortages and economic instability, Joseph's wisdom seems particularly relevant. The intricate connections between war, famine, and pestilence are evident in the historical record. The decline of empires, the rise of new powers, and the suffering of ordinary people have often been intertwined with these factors. The Black Death, for example, a pandemic that ravaged Europe in the 14th century, contributed to the collapse of feudalism and the rise of nation-states. As we confront the challenges of the 21st century, it is essential to examine these historical patterns and to learn from the mistakes of the past. The biblical narratives, while rooted in ancient times, offer profound insights into the human condition and the complexities of our relationship with the natural world. The current crisis demands a multifaceted response. The Davos elite, under the stewardship of Klaus Schwab, have proposed a radical reimagining of society. In The Great Reset, Schwab outlines a future where personal property is diminished and societal wealth is redistributed. This vision, while presented as a utopian solution to global challenges, bears striking resemblance to historical precedents. Ancient Egypt, under the pharaoh's rule, provides a chilling echo, a time of scarcity where individuals surrendered their possessions to the state for survival. The recent surge in insect infestations, particularly the biblical locust swarms, could be interpreted as harbingers of such a future. These natural disasters, often followed by famine and economic upheaval, create conditions ripe for centralized control. Schwab's vision of a world reshaped by economic and environmental crises aligns with this pattern, suggesting a potential trajectory where desperation leads to acquiescence. The biblical narrative offers a prophetic framework for understanding these developments. The plagues of Egypt, including the locust swarm, were precursors to the Exodus, a liberation from oppressive rule. Similarly, the biblical prophets warned of famines and pestilences as harbingers of judgment and renewal. The book of Revelation, with its apocalyptic imagery of trumpets and plagues, provides a dramatic backdrop to these events. The trumpet motif is particularly significant. In biblical terms, it signifies both divine judgment and a call to action. The Israelites used trumpets in warfare and religious ceremonies. In the New Testament, the trumpet is associated with the second coming of Christ. The current global upheaval, marked by natural disasters and societal unrest, can be seen as a series of trumpet blasts, awakening humanity to the urgency of spiritual and moral renewal. The overlapping of biblical prophecy, historical precedent, and contemporary events creates a complex and challenging landscape. Yet, it also offers a unique opportunity for discernment and spiritual growth. As individuals and as a global community, we are called to examine our values, our priorities, and our relationship with God and creation. The path forward is not without its challenges. The temptation to succumb to fear and despair is ever present. However, by grounding ourselves in faith, hope, and love, we can navigate these turbulent times with resilience and purpose. The signs of the times, while alarming, can also be seen as a call to awakening, a summons to a deeper spiritual life and a more committed engagement with the world around us. Ultimately, the convergence of economic, environmental, and spiritual forces demands a comprehensive response. We must work together to address the pressing challenges of our time while maintaining a steadfast focus on the eternal truths revealed in Scripture. By doing so, we can not only survive but thrive in the midst of change, emerging from this era of upheaval as a more united, compassionate, and spiritually mature humanity. As the narrative unfolds in Revelation, the sixth trumpet introduces an even more terrifying scenario: a cataclysmic release of demonic forces from the Euphrates River. This apocalyptic vision, described in Revelation 9:13-19, paints a picture of unparalleled destruction, with an army of monstrous creatures equipped with supernatural weaponry, inflicting death and devastation upon a third of humanity. This imagery resonates with contemporary concerns about the potential for unchecked technological advancement and its unintended consequences. The blurring lines between the biological and the digital, as exemplified by transhumanism, raise profound questions about the future of humanity and the potential for catastrophic outcomes. The biblical account of the sixth trumpet serves as a stark warning about the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of moral and spiritual discernment. The survivors of these plagues, as described in Revelation 9:20-21, continue in their wicked ways, demonstrating a profound lack of repentance and a refusal to turn to God. This human response echoes throughout history, highlighting the persistent nature of sin and the challenges faced by humanity in overcoming it. As we grapple with the complexities of the modern world, it is essential to consider the potential implications of the sixth trumpet on a global scale. The release of destructive forces, whether physical, biological, or technological, could have catastrophic consequences for humanity. The biblical narrative serves as a cautionary tale, urging us to approach the future with humility, wisdom, and a deep-rooted faith. The challenges we face today require a multifaceted response. We must address the root causes of environmental degradation, social inequality, and political instability, while also cultivating a spiritual foundation that can sustain us through difficult times. By understanding the patterns of history and the teachings of Scripture, we can develop the resilience and wisdom necessary to navigate the complexities of the present and prepare for the uncertainties of the future. The narrative reaches its crescendo with the sounding of the seventh trumpet. This final trumpet, as described in Revelation 11:15-19, marks a pivotal moment in cosmic history. It is a declaration of God's sovereignty, a proclamation that His kingdom has come. The 24 elders, representing the redeemed of all ages, fall down and worship, acknowledging God's ultimate authority. The sounding of the seventh trumpet is accompanied by seismic shifts in the earthly realm. The nations are filled with wrath, a response to God's judgment. The time for reckoning arrives as the dead are judged and the righteous rewarded. This climactic event signifies the end of an era and the beginning of a new age. The seventh trumpet, often referred to as the third woe, is a culmination of the preceding judgments. It is a call to account for humanity's stewardship of the earth and its treatment of God's creation. The response to this final trumpet will determine the eternal destiny of individuals and nations. As we stand on the precipice of history, contemplating the unfolding events, the seventh trumpet serves as a profound reminder of the ultimate sovereignty of God. It is a call to repentance, faith, and hope. While the world may be filled with darkness and uncertainty, the light of Christ shines as a beacon of hope. The challenges we face are immense, but they are not insurmountable. By aligning our lives with God's purpose and living in accordance with His will, we can find peace and purpose in the midst of chaos. The seventh trumpet is not a signal of despair, but a call to action. It is a summons to embrace the hope of the gospel and to live in anticipation of Christ's return. The identity of the one worthy to break the seven seals is a pivotal point in the narrative of Revelation. While the scroll remains sealed, inaccessible to all, hope emerges in the form of a celestial being described as the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David. This figure, recognized as Jesus Christ, embodies the divine and human natures, making Him uniquely qualified to unlock the mysteries contained within the scroll. The Lion of Judah, a symbol of strength and courage, is a recurring motif in the Old Testament. It represents the Messianic King, who will restore Israel's glory and establish God's kingdom on earth. Jesus Christ, as the fulfillment of these prophecies, is the rightful heir to David's throne and the ultimate embodiment of divine authority. His ability to open the seals is a testament to His divine sovereignty and His role as the cosmic Redeemer. As the seals are broken, a sequence of apocalyptic events unfolds, each unveiling a deeper dimension of God's judgment and the human condition. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, representing conquest, war, famine, and death, symbolize the destructive forces unleashed upon humanity. The subsequent plagues and natural disasters serve as stark reminders of human fragility and the consequences of sin. However, these catastrophic events are not merely punitive measures. They are also opportunities for repentance and renewal. The opening of the seals invites humanity to confront its own mortality and to seek reconciliation with the divine. It is a call to awaken from spiritual slumber and to embrace the hope offered by Christ. The seven seals, therefore, are not merely a prophetic outline of future events, but a profound spiritual allegory. They invite us to contemplate the meaning of history, the nature of suffering, and the ultimate destiny of humanity. They challenge us to examine our own lives in light of these cosmic realities and to seek a deeper understanding of God's plan for the world. Yet, within this apocalyptic framework, there is also a message of hope. The judgments unleashed upon the world are not arbitrary acts of divine wrath, but rather a necessary prelude to the establishment of God's kingdom. The suffering endured by humanity is ultimately intended to lead to redemption and restoration. As we contemplate the meaning of these prophetic texts, it is essential to remember that the book of Revelation is not a simple prediction of future events, but a complex and layered exploration of the human condition and the divine purpose. The four horsemen, while terrifying in their symbolism, are ultimately part of a larger narrative of redemption and renewal. As individuals, we can contribute to a deeper understanding of these events by remaining informed, critical, and open-minded. Supporting scientific research into climate change, insect behavior, and geological phenomena is essential. Engaging in thoughtful dialogue with people of different faiths and perspectives can foster empathy and mutual understanding. Moreover, we must cultivate resilience and preparedness. The potential for future disruptions, whether natural or man-made, demands that we build strong communities, develop sustainable practices, and prioritize emergency planning. By approaching these challenges with a sense of shared responsibility, we can navigate the future with greater confidence and hope. Ultimately, the meaning we ascribe to these events is a personal journey. Whether we find solace in faith, seek answers in science, or simply embrace the mystery, it is essential to approach the unknown with courage and curiosity.
And multiple reports from North St. Louis County residents of a strange noise.
Yeah, the source of that noise is still unclear, and they brought their complaints to Contact 2's Mike Colombo.
Listen very closely. The low rumble sounds like a generator running in the distance.
Residents of North St. Louis County have been reporting a mysterious noise, the origin of which remains unknown. This perplexing phenomenon isn't isolated. A similar low-frequency hum has been noted in various locations worldwide, most often occurring in the evening hours. Adding to the intrigue, loud aerial noises were reported in southern Putnam County this past weekend.
A little late Saturday morning, this loud noise, roaring noise came over the house. The whole house shook.
These enigmatic sounds raise a host of questions. What are they? Where do they originate? Could they be a harbinger of a concerning future for humanity? Join us on an investigative journey as we delve into these reports, seeking answers and exploring the potential implications of these unsettling occurrences. Imagine this. You're sitting comfortably at home, enjoying the quiet evening. Suddenly, a strange and powerful sound shatters the peace, a booming noise that seems to come from the sky. But this isn't just happening where you are. All over the world, people are hearing it too. In busy cities like New York and quiet places like New Zealand. It doesn't matter who they are or where they live. Everyone is surprised and a little scared by this mysterious sound. This isn't something you'd expect to see in a science fiction movie. It's real, and it's happening right now. The year 2024 will be remembered for many things, but these strange sounds are one of the most unusual events. These unexplained noises are a mystery that has captured the world's attention and left everyone wondering what could be causing them. But what if these sounds are more than mere scientific curiosities? Could they be the fulfillment of ancient prophecies, the echoes of warnings that have reverberated through the ages? The Bible, with its timeless wisdom and prophetic visions, offers intriguing clues. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world, for the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Luke 21:25-26. Are the sounds we're experiencing the trumpets of Revelation, signaling the end times? Or perhaps they serve as a wake-up call for a world that seems increasingly adrift? Our exploration tonight isn't driven by fear, but by a thirst for understanding. Together, we'll delve into the mystery of these sounds, drawing upon the wisdom of Scripture and historical texts. We'll examine not just the phenomenon itself, but its potential significance in light of today's global challenges, escalating natural disasters, societal unrest, and the looming threat of climate change. Each of these elements, when viewed through the lens of biblical prophecy, contributes to a larger mosaic. A mosaic that, once complete, may reveal our present era as a pivotal moment in the human narrative. As we embark on this journey, let us hold on to the words of Psalm 46:2-3. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. This scripture isn't just a poetic passage. It's a beacon of hope, a reminder that even amidst chaos, there exists a foundation that remains steadfast. This journey we're taking together is about much more than just finding answers. It's about seeing the world with new eyes, eyes that are open to the possibility of something greater. It's about recognizing the signs all around us and understanding our place in a story that's been unfolding for centuries. It's a call to look past the fear and confusion, and to find strength and comfort in a faith that has guided people through difficult times throughout history. These strange sounds may be confusing and a bit scary, but let's explore them with open minds and hearts. Let's try to understand not only what they are, but what they might mean for us and the world. In a world where faith, ancient teachings, and our everyday lives are all connected, let's explore this mystery together. Let's look at the sounds from the sky, what they could mean, and how they might affect us as a global community, as people of faith, and as caretakers of this planet. Remember, even when things feel uncertain or scary, we have a lot of strength. We have our faith, the guidance of ancient wisdom, and the connection we share with each other. Let's move forward with bravery and hope, knowing that no matter what happens, we're in this together. All over the world, from the charming streets of Europe to the wide-open spaces of America, from the busy cities of Asia to the quiet villages of Africa, something amazing is happening. It's as if the sky itself is talking, and the sounds are so incredible and strange that we can't explain them. These aren't the normal sounds of our world. Cars honking, people talking, the wind blowing. These are sounds from somewhere else, and they feel urgent and important. People who have heard them say they sound like metal groaning, angels singing, or trumpets playing from above. In Canada, a family recorded a video of spooky sounds carried on the wind. A song from an unknown place that made them look up in wonder and worry. In Sweden, a hiker was alone in the woods when he heard heavenly voices all around him, so beautiful and strong that he fell to his knees. In the middle of Mexico City, thousands of people stopped what they were doing when the air filled with sounds like trumpets from another world. Each story is a little different, but they all come together to create a mystery that people all over the world share. These aren't just stories or isolated events. They are the voices of our planet, our skies, communicating in a language we haven't yet deciphered. But what could it all signify? For those attuned to the whispers of the divine, these sounds might be a message foretold long ago. And I heard a sound from heaven, like the roar of rushing waters and like a loud peal of thunder. The sound I heard was like that of harpists playing their harps. Revelation 14:2. Could we, the people of Earth, be on the cusp of a profound revelation, a moment of divine clarity? Consider the music industry, for instance. Songs that glorify violence, objectify women, and promote materialism dominate the airwaves, subtly influencing our attitudes and values. Before we realize it, we become desensitized to things that were once morally repugnant. This trend isn't limited to music. Similar patterns permeate all forms of media. Television shows often portray casual sex as harmless. Pornography is readily available online. And social media platforms foster self-indulgence and narcissism. The fashion industry also plays a role. It bombards us with revealing clothing, provocative imagery, and unattainable beauty standards, implying that our worth is determined by our appearance. Perhaps most insidiously, these cultural trends and media messages gradually erode our faith. They suggest that God is irrelevant, morality is subjective, and truth is relative. Slowly but surely, we start to question our beliefs, doubt the existence of absolute truth, and rationalize our sinful behavior. Before we know it, we find ourselves on the precipice of abandoning our faith entirely. We are not powerless against the tide of cultural influence. We have the capacity to resist, to stand firm in our faith, and to realign our moral compass. This journey begins with a heightened awareness of how sin can be subtly normalized and faith undermined. We must acknowledge the spiritual battle that rages around us, calling for both vigilance and discernment. Our response lies in deliberate action. We must guard our hearts and minds, filtering everything through the lens of Scripture. Surrounding ourselves with positive influences and faith-based communities provides strength and support. This is not the first time the skies have spoken, and history reminds us that humanity has long grappled with celestial phenomena. Across time and civilizations, these unexplained events have punctuated our lives, reminding us that what we experience today is part of a larger, awe-inspiring narrative. In 1829, Benares, British soldiers and local residents were stunned by booming sounds from a clear sky, a mystery documented in journals that still echoes today. Roman historian Pliny the Elder recorded a 1st century Etruria quaking under a sky filled with trumpet-like sounds, a phenomenon that left the city fearful and bewildered. Even an 1831 French scientific expedition to the Andes encountered a baffling, omnipresent sound like boiling water, a mystery that defied their knowledge and tools. More recently, the Taos hum, a persistent low-frequency sound in parts of New Mexico, has puzzled researchers since the 1990s, serving as a modern enigma that speaks to our deepest fears and fascination. These events, scattered throughout human history, remind us that we are not the first to look to the sky in wonder. Each account challenges us to acknowledge that there may be phenomena in the world that surpass our current scientific understanding. As we confront these mysteries, the words of Ecclesiastes 1:9 offer perspective. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Rather than fear, we are called to see these events as part of a continuous dialogue between humanity and the divine, between our earthly realm and the mysteries of the cosmos. In our pursuit of understanding, we draw strength from Daniel 2:22. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. These words reassure us that while some mysteries may elude our grasp today, there is a greater wisdom at work, a divine intelligence that holds the ultimate answers. As we experience these enigmatic sounds from the sky, let us view them not with alarm, but as a chance for reflection, wonder, and a deeper connection to the past, each other, and the universe's mysteries. We join a long line of curious minds who have gazed upward and pondered, what does this mean? These sounds, echoing through time and culture, push us to broaden our understanding, bridging the gap between science and spirituality. They invite us to embrace the possibility of yet undiscovered marvels in our world. In this exploration, we are reminded of our boundless capacity for awe and the enduring human quest for knowledge, a quest that unites us across generations in shared wonder and eternal hope. These celestial sounds are not alone in their mystery. As they continue to perplex and fascinate the world, the scientific community is diligently seeking answers, striving to unravel the nature of this auditory enigma. This pursuit of understanding isn't straightforward. It winds through natural phenomena and technological advancements, each offering a clue while deepening the mystery. Leading the inquiry, meteorologists and geophysicists suggest a natural origin, pointing to atmospheric acoustics, where the clash of warm and cold air masses could generate the enigmatic sounds. However, this explanation raises further questions, leaving us to ponder the specific conditions required for such phenomena. Geological explanations also emerge, with some experts suggesting tectonic movements as the culprit. The grinding of continental plates, gas releases, or the friction of Earth's crust could create sounds that resonate, perceived as heavenly messages. Historical data supports this, with eerie sounds sometimes accompanying seismic events. Technological sources offer another avenue, with human activity extending to the farthest reaches of the globe and atmosphere. Man-made sounds cannot be ruled out. Experimental aircraft, secret operations, or large-scale projects could generate unusual and powerful sound waves, unintentionally becoming the source of public intrigue. Amidst this, acoustic experts explore the concept of infrasound. Sounds too low for human ears, but capable of traveling vast distances under certain conditions. Infrasound, generated by natural events and human activities, could become audible under specific atmospheric conditions, transforming into the mysterious sounds we hear. The search for answers doesn't stop here. Psychological and sociological factors play a role in how we perceive and interpret these sounds. The power of suggestion and our tendency to find patterns can amplify their impact, embedding them in our collective consciousness. However, as we navigate these theories, we recall Sir Isaac Newton's words: "What we know is a drop, what we don't know is an ocean." This humbling reminder highlights the vastness of our ignorance and the boundless potential for discovery. In seeking scientific explanations for these mysterious sounds, we engage in a dialogue with both nature and the unknown. This journey of exploration, rooted in the scientific method yet open to the whispers of the unknown, reflects our eternal quest for knowledge. As we strive to unravel the mystery of these celestial sounds, we are reminded of the limits of our understanding and the vast complexity of the universe we inhabit. In this realm of open inquiry, every theory and explanation brings us closer to understanding not only the phenomenon itself, but also our place in a cosmos that continues to amaze and inspire. As the scientific community races to explain the mysterious sounds resonating from the heavens, the public's reaction offers a captivating glimpse into the multifaceted nature of the human response to the unknown. This diversity, ranging from deep skepticism to wholehearted acceptance, mirrors the profound nature of the mystery, painting a vivid picture of a world grappling with phenomena that blur the boundaries of the explainable and the inexplicable. In today's digital age, where information spreads at lightning speed, news of the sounds and their possible origins have ignited a global conversation. Social media platforms hum with audio clips of the sounds, accompanied by a chorus of voices offering theories and counter-theories. For each individual convinced that science holds the key, another questions the limits of our knowledge and the narratives we construct. Skeptics raise important points, highlighting past unexplained phenomena that eventually reveal their secrets. They challenge the scientific community's conclusions, suggesting that the true nature of these sounds may remain elusive for years, perhaps decades. The memory of the Taos hum and similar unsolved auditory puzzles bolster their skepticism, fueling debates that delve into the heart of the mystery. Conversely, a segment of the public readily embraces scientific explanations, finding comfort in the possibility of understanding the unknown through the lens of natural and technological sources. This acceptance speaks to a fundamental human desire for order and comprehension in a world often filled with unanswered questions. For these individuals, theories put forth by experts offer a beacon of reason in the shadowy realm of the unknown. Personal stories from individuals and communities deeply affected by the sounds add further depth to the public response. Shared in online forums, blogs, and news articles, these accounts bring a human dimension to the phenomenon, touching upon spiritual and existential implications that go beyond facts and figures. Amidst this rich tapestry of belief and skepticism, the media and popular culture play a significant role in shaping public perception. Documentaries, news reports, and fictional portrayals contribute to a collective consciousness surrounding the sounds, each adding to the intricate narrative of public opinion. The portrayal of scientific explanations often reflects and reinforces prevailing societal attitudes, whether they lean towards skepticism, acceptance, or something in between. As we explore this intricate landscape of reactions and interpretations, the public's response to scientific explanations for the mysterious sounds mirrors our collective psyche. It reveals a society caught between a yearning for understanding and the allure of the unknown, the comfort of explanations and the thrill of mystery. In this space, every theory and piece of evidence becomes part of a puzzle that illuminates not just the sounds themselves, but our place in the universe. Our journey to understand these celestial sounds becomes a journey into the heart of humanity itself, a journey that challenges us to confront the limits of our knowledge and embrace the vastness of our imagination. Standing on this precipice, gazing into the vast expanse of the unknown, we realize that the greatest mysteries lie not only in the skies above, but also within ourselves, waiting to be explored. Human history is filled with moments that challenge our understanding and beckon us to look beyond the material world into the spiritual realm. Few have stirred our souls as deeply as the mysterious sounds emanating from the heavens. This phenomenon draws us to the pages of ancient scripture, where echoes of prophecy resonate with a relevance that is both exhilarating and deeply sobering. At the core of this divine mystery are the trumpets of the Book of Revelation, a cornerstone of biblical prophecy that has captivated scholars, theologians, and believers for centuries. The Apostle John's vivid account of his visions on the island of Patmos speaks of 7 trumpets that herald the end of days, each blast unleashing cosmic events upon the earth and its inhabitants. The first trumpet, described as unleashing hail, fire, and blood, paints a picture of divine intervention that defies human comprehension. Delving into these ancient texts, we confront the possibility that the sounds we hear today might be more than atmospheric or geological anomalies. They might be the very signals foretold millennia ago, signposts on the path to the culmination of history as we know it. The description of the 7th trumpet, heralding the final victory of the divine over the temporal, resonates with a particular urgency that mirrors our own times. Yet, the significance of these scriptural references extends beyond their prophetic content. They offer a lens through which we can interpret our world, infusing current events with a deeper meaning that transcends the immediate and tangible. The sounds from the sky, seen through this lens, become more than a curiosity. They become a call to awareness, a prompt to reflection in a spiritual context. Historical examples of such celestial signs are plentiful, with instances throughout the Bible where God used natural phenomena to communicate. From the trumpet blasts that toppled Jericho's walls to the thunderous voice that spoke to Moses, sound as a divine messenger is a recurring theme, emphasizing the power of the unseen and unexplained in shaping human destiny. Our quest to understand these mysterious sounds connects us with the past and the prophetic traditions that have guided humanity's spiritual journey for millennia. This dialogue is not one of fear, but of faith. It reminds us that every era has signs and wonders that beckon us to look beyond earthly concerns to the eternal, to the unfolding of God's plan for creation. As we stand at this crossroads, facing the unknown with a mix of apprehension and hope, the words of the prophets offer a beacon of light. They remind us that in the grand scheme of the divine narrative, all things have their place, their purpose, and their time. The enigmatic sounds from the sky invite us to explore the depths of our faith, to rediscover the awe and wonder at the heart of our relationship with the divine. In an age where the boundary between the tangible and the spiritual seems increasingly blurred, the mysterious sounds resonating from the sky beckon us toward deeper contemplation. As we stand at this intersection of history and prophecy, it's impossible to ignore the potential spiritual significance of these phenomena. Could these celestial symphonies be the heralding trumpets of Revelation, the forewarnings of the end times as foretold in ancient scripture? The very question sends a thrill of awe down our spine, prompting a deeper dive into theological analysis and a search for understanding through the lens of biblical prophecy. The Book of Revelation, rich with vivid imagery and profound symbolism, offers a sweeping vision of history's culmination as seen through the eyes of the Apostle John. Within this vision, the sounding of trumpets marks pivotal moments in the unfolding divine narrative, acting as a clarion call to humanity, a reminder of God's sovereign hand over creation. Each trumpet blast announces judgments and revelations, prompting us to reflect on our current global landscape, a world rife with environmental upheaval, societal unrest, and a pervasive sense of transition. Drawing parallels between these scriptural accounts and the enigmatic sounds heard worldwide invites us to reevaluate our understanding of the times we live in. This theological analysis is not about stoking fear, but about awakening a heightened awareness of the spiritual dimension of our existence. It encourages us to consider the possibility that these sounds are not mere anomalies to be explained away by science or dismissed as collective illusions, but rather signs calling us to spiritual preparedness. Historical instances of divine communication through natural phenomena serve as a precedent for interpreting these sounds as messages with spiritual significance. Consider the story of Elijah on Mount Horeb, where God's presence was revealed not in the wind, earthquake, or fire, but in a gentle whisper. This narrative emphasizes the diverse ways in which the divine communicates, reminding us that God's messages often transcend human expectations and preconceived notions. The sounds from the sky challenge us to expand our spiritual perception and to listen not just with our ears, but with our hearts. They stir a sense of wonder and humility within us, confronting us with the vastness of the unknown and the certainty of the divine. This theological reflection encourages us to view these phenomena through the lens of faith, considering their role in the grand narrative of salvation history and the eschatological hope that underpins Christian belief. Jesus reminds us in Matthew 24:36 that, "About that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father." This serves as a caution against setting dates or succumbing to alarm, but also as an invitation to live in a state of hopeful anticipation, vigilant and ready for the unfolding of God's plan. In this context, the mysterious sounds become a reminder of the imminence and unpredictability of divine action, urging us toward a deeper faith and a more committed walk with God. As we grapple with the theological implications of these sounds, let us do so with humility and openness, acknowledging the limits of our understanding and the boundlessness of divine wisdom. Let these phenomena not instill fear, but inspire a renewed commitment to live by the values of God's kingdom, embodying love, justice, and mercy in a world yearning for redemption. In conclusion, the mysterious sounds from the sky offer a unique opportunity for theological reflection and spiritual growth, a chance to deepen our relationship with the divine and contemplate our place in the grand cosmic narrative. As we navigate these uncertain times, let us hold fast to the hope that resides within us, the assurance of God's presence and providence, and the promise of a future where all creation is reconciled and renewed. As we set out on this journey of faith in action, we are not solitary wanderers in the wilderness of uncertainty. The same divine spirit that empowered the early church, that guided the faithful throughout history, and that continues to work miracles in the lives of believers today, is our constant companion. This is not a journey we undertake alone, but one in which we are upheld and empowered by the very source of all hope and love. With the Spirit as our guide, we are not merely capable, but equipped to face any challenge that comes our way. We are called to be beacons of hope, radiating light into the darkest corners of our world. Our lives lived in faith and action can leave an enduring impact, transforming not only our own hearts, but also the communities and systems around us. Let this moment be a clarion call, an awakening to rise and embody the faith we profess. Let us boldly take up the mantle of action, drawing inspiration from the countless witnesses who have paved the path before us. Driven by the inexhaustible love of Christ, let us not merely navigate the challenges of our time, but actively shape a future where love, justice, and peace flourish. In a world that often seems adrift in a sea of uncertainty and discord, remember this: the sovereignty of God remains an unshakable anchor. Beyond the tumultuous waves and the deafening noise, there exists a divine plan, perfect in its order and purpose. It is in this profound truth that we find our strength, our solace, and the unwavering hope that will guide us through life's storms. Let us not be passive observers, but active participants in the unfolding of God's grand design. Let us embrace the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead, knowing that we are co-creators with the divine, called to bring forth a world that reflects the beauty, goodness, and love that reside at the heart of all creation. As we step forward in faith, let us not forget that every act of love, every gesture of kindness, every stand for justice, and every whisper of hope is a brushstroke in the masterpiece of God's kingdom. We are not just called to endure, but to thrive, to overcome, and to leave a legacy of faith that will echo through the ages. So let us go forth with courage, with compassion, and with an unwavering trust in the divine plan that guides our steps. For even in the face of the unknown, we know this: the God who spoke creation into being, who parted the Red Sea, and who raised Christ from the dead is with us. And with him, all things are possible.
There's a lot going on in Jerusalem right now. Whispers are flying around about the Ark of the Covenant being found hidden somewhere in the old city. At the same time, people are saying they've seen Jesus, and there's this weird humming sound coming from the sky. With all this happening, it's no wonder everyone's wondering if it's all connected, and maybe the world is about to end. But before we jump to any conclusions, let's dig a bit deeper. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. And leave a comment below if you have any thoughts or ideas for other topics. Jerusalem is a pretty amazing place. Just the name itself makes you think of old stone walls, busy markets, and beautiful buildings with gold domes and pointy tops. This city sits in the Judean mountains and has a special energy unlike anywhere else. Thousands of years of history have shaped Jerusalem, making it a mix of Jewish, Christian, and Muslim traditions. For Jewish people, Jerusalem is super important. It's like the center of their religion, the place where King David made his capital and Solomon built a giant temple. The Western Wall, which is a leftover piece of another temple's wall, is the holiest place for Jews. They go there to pray and visit as a special trip. Christians believe Jerusalem is where Jesus spent a lot of time, teaching people, doing amazing things, and eventually being crucified. They have a giant church called the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which they think is built where Jesus was crucified and buried. Muslims also think Jerusalem is very special. They have a beautiful gold-colored dome called the Dome of the Rock, which sits on a hilltop where they believe Abraham almost sacrificed his son Ishmael. This same hilltop is where Muslims say the Prophet Muhammad went up to heaven. But Jerusalem isn't just about religion. It's also a modern city with a cool art scene, markets packed with spices and souvenirs, and delicious food. No matter which street you walk down, you'll hear all sorts of languages and see people from all over the world. Everywhere you look, there's something from the past, making Jerusalem feel like a giant history museum come to life. The Ark of the Covenant is a fancy gold-covered wooden chest that's been super important in religious stories for thousands of years. According to the Bible, it was the Israelites' most sacred treasure chest. Inside, they kept the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments written on them, kind of like the rules of their agreement with God. The Bible says the Ark wasn't just for storage. It was also a special place where God's presence could be felt. It was made of fancy wood covered in gold and had a lid decorated with two golden-winged creatures called cherubs facing each other. This fancy design showed how important the ark was as a connection between people and God. The Bible tells us the ark was super important for the Israelites during their travels. When they were escaping Egypt, the ark helped them out in a miraculous way by parting the Red Sea so they could walk through. Once they settled down in a new land, the ark lived in a special room inside a giant tent they used for worshiping God. Later, it moved to a permanent temple built just for God. But then things got dramatic. In 586 BC, a bunch of Babylonians destroyed the temple. The Bible doesn't say what happened to the ark after that. This missing piece of the story has led to all sorts of ideas and guesses about the ark for hundreds of years. Some folks think it got wrecked along with the temple, and all the holy stuff inside is gone forever. Others think the Babylonians took it as a trophy. But here's a cool idea. Some Jewish traditions say God actually hid the ark before the temple got destroyed, to keep it safe. If that's true, maybe it's still out there somewhere waiting to be found. Some people even believe finding the ark could signal the arrival of a super important person. The ark's fame goes way beyond the Bible. It's become a big symbol in many cultures and religions, sometimes even getting mixed up with fantastical stories. In Ethiopia, there's a church that claims they have the ark safe and sound. There are also legends about an Ethiopian king who took it from the queen of Sheba's son. In movies and books, the ark is a popular treasure, often with amazing powers. Remember Indiana Jones? He probably has a movie about going after the ark. These stories, even though they're fictional, show how much people are still curious about the ark's potential power and all the mystery surrounding it. The story began with a quiet murmur, like a shiver spreading through Jerusalem's old stone streets. People whispered about the Ark of the Covenant, Judaism's most holy chest, supposedly lost for ages. Legend said it held the 10 Commandments. Now, rumors flew that it had been found hidden somewhere in the city, maybe in a secret chamber or an ancient tomb. The news spread fast, from hushed talks in synagogues to online forums buzzing with excitement. Believers felt a spark of hope, a sense of something holy awakening. Could it be real? Could the ark, the physical sign of their bond with God, be found after all this time? Of course, there were doubters. History was full of forgeries and wishful thinking disguised as facts. Archaeologists were cautious, while news outlets scrambled for updates. Jerusalem itself was electric with anticipation. The Temple Mount, the holiest place for Jews, became the center of attention. Was the ark hidden beneath the golden dome of the rock, or maybe buried even deeper, in secret tunnels, whispering secrets to those who listened closely? The Israeli government, aware of Jerusalem's delicate situation as a holy site for 3 religions, took careful steps. They brought in a diverse team of archaeologists from different faiths and backgrounds. The world watched intensely as these experts, masked and armed with trowels and fancy scanners, dug into the city. Weeks turned into months, with frustration mixing with hope. Every piece of pottery, every cleared wall, revealed nothing of the ark. Doubters grew louder, their voices a constant, "We knew it." Believers, though discouraged, held on to a sliver of hope. Maybe the chamber was deeper, or the clues hadn't been figured out yet. The odds seemed impossible, the weight of history heavy in the air. But then, amidst the doubt, a new discovery, an inscription on a freshly unearthed stone tablet. It was faded but clear, talking about a hidden chamber, a place for sacred things, its location hidden in a mysterious message. Experts confirmed the inscription was real, and a jolt of excitement ran through everyone. This wasn't just a rumor anymore. Here was a real piece of evidence, a whisper from the past hinting at a truth waiting to be found. The search moved into high gear. With the inscription's clues as a guide, archaeologists scanned every inch of the Temple Mount and around it. Still, weeks turned into months. The inscription offered a glimpse of something amazing, but it was frustratingly unclear. Was it a metaphor? A symbolic connection to something spiritual? Or did it point to a real place, a hidden passage waiting to be opened? Meanwhile, the whole world was glued to their screens. News channels were running live updates, social media overflowed with theories, and religious leaders from all faiths offered their thoughts on the discovery. For some, the Ark represented a powerful symbol of God's presence on earth. Others saw it as a historical artifact of incredible importance. And for many, it was a giant question mark, a mystery that went beyond religion, a glimpse into the past that could potentially rewrite history. Let's rewind a bit, though. The Bible, in the book of Exodus, tells the story of the Israelites escaping slavery in Egypt and journeying through the desert towards a promised land. They carried a sacred chest with them, the Ark of the Covenant. Inside were the 10 Commandments, and the Ark itself symbolized God being with them. God gave Moses specific instructions for building the Ark. Made from special wood and covered in gold, it had cherubim on it and was the holiest item in their traveling temple, the tabernacle. As they walked through the desert, the Ark led the way, carried by special priests. It was like God was at the front, guiding his people. Whenever they stopped, they'd set up the tabernacle, with the Ark in the center, like God was living amongst them. Having the Ark there was a constant reminder of God's loyalty and guidance, especially during tough times like lack of food and water, attacks, and arguments within the group. The book of Joshua in the Bible picks up the story after 40 years of wandering. The Israelites, led by Joshua, were finally ready to enter the Promised Land. But there was a huge obstacle, the flooding Jordan River blocking their path. However, God told Joshua to have the priests carry the Ark in front of the people and step right into the river. Joshua told everyone what God had said, explaining how important it was to follow the Ark because it showed God was there with them. When the priests carrying the Ark stepped into the Jordan River, something amazing happened. The moment their feet touched the water, the river stopped flowing upstream like a giant dam. The water below just stopped moving, making a dry path for the Israelites to walk across. The whole nation of Israel, with all their animals and stuff, crossed the Jordan on dry land, following the priests who carried the Ark. Once everyone was safe on the other side, Joshua picked 12 men, one from each family group, to grab some stones from the middle of the Jordan where the priests had stood. They used these stones to build a special monument at their camp to remember the miraculous crossing. This whole event showed not only that God kept his promise to bring the Israelites to the Promised Land, but also that Joshua was a good leader and that the Ark of the Covenant was super important because it meant God was with them. It was a powerful moment that showed God's amazing abilities and how he could help his people overcome any problems, no matter how big. Also, the Bible tells the story of the Ark's role in conquering the city of Jericho in the book of Joshua, chapter 6. After Moses died, Joshua took over as leader and brought the Israelites across the Jordan River into the Promised Land. Their first big challenge was Jericho, a city with super tall walls and lots of guards. It seemed impossible to win. Before they attacked Jericho, God gave Joshua a special plan. It wasn't the usual way to fight, but it required the Israelites to have faith and follow God's instructions. For 6 days in a row, they had to walk around the entire city once a day. The priests carried the Ark of the Covenant at the front of the line, and 7 other priests blew special trumpets made from ram's horns. But the people weren't allowed to make a sound. On the 7th day, things changed. They walked around the city 7 times instead of just once, and the priests blew their trumpets without stopping. Finally, Joshua gave the signal, and everyone yelled as loud as they could. This was the part where God would step in. The Israelites followed the plan exactly. They walked around the city every day with the ark leading the way. On the seventh day, after they walked around the city 7 times, the priests blew their trumpets one last time, and Joshua gave the command. Then everyone yelled with all their might. And guess what? The walls of Jericho magically fell down. The Israelites raced into the city and won. They destroyed everything except for Rahab and her family, who had been nice to the Israelite spies before. They destroyed the city as an offering to God. According to the stories, it's easy to see why this was such a special moment for religious people in Jerusalem, the holiest city. It showed them that God was with them. It also reminded them to be loyal and devoted to God, and to have strong faith, especially when things were tough, like they were in that city that was about to fall apart. On top of the rumors about finding the ark, the city was buzzing with even more strange events that didn't seem connected. People started saying they saw Jesus Christ walking around Jerusalem, even appearing in the sky. The first stories came from people on the fringes of society, the poor and those who weren't well off. A homeless woman said a gentle hand helped her when she tripped, and it felt warm for a long time, even after people gave her money. A tired soldier who had seen terrible things in war said a man with eyes like the vast desert calmed him down with just a touch. Of course, nobody really believed these stories at first. Were people just imagining things because they wanted something good to happen? Or was it religious excitement? Or maybe just the hot sun messing with people's heads? Then, something happened that changed everything. The baker, a man known for being grumpy and having even grumpier bread, came back from the market acting completely different. He was crying happy tears and talking about a man with hands like a baker who helped him carry something heavy. The man also said some things that made the baker feel much better, even though he never believed in superstitions before. The baker couldn't explain why he suddenly felt so happy and why he loved baking bread again. The whole city was waiting with bated breath. The rumors that were once whispered in secret were now shouted from the rooftops and courtyards. People were curious and a little hopeful. A young woman who was treated badly because of her past found a beautiful rose on her doorstep, like a silent message that someone forgave her. Some kids playing near the Wailing Wall swore they saw a figure against the sunset with its arms open wide, silently blessing them. The religious leaders were the slowest to believe the rumors. For them, the line between true faith and crazy fanaticism was very narrow. Like a tightrope, they walked carefully. But even the toughest religious leader couldn't ignore the growing excitement. The city, once tired and cynical, was buzzing with new energy. People were kinder to each other in surprising ways, and old arguments softened, replaced by a fragile peace. Was this all because of one man? Maybe a smooth talker taking advantage of people who were hurting? Or was something much deeper happening? Then one evening, as the golden light of sunset painted the city, there was a big commotion near the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. A crowd gathered, a mix of faces showing both fear and amazement. They moved apart to reveal a man hovering in the sky. He was tall and thin, with hair like golden wheat and eyes that seemed to hold all the wisdom of history. Everyone stopped and stared. A whisper went through the crowd, a single word, Yeshua, the Hebrew name for Jesus. He spoke softly, his voice a soothing balm to the city's weary soul. He didn't yell about punishment or promise a perfect world. Instead, he talked about love, forgiveness, and the strength each person has inside to fight darkness. He spoke of hope, like a tiny spark growing into a roaring fire. His message wasn't new, but the way he delivered it had a power that went beyond time and place. His voice was both beautiful and powerful, with a quality that seemed to come from another world. It touched people deep in their souls. Many who heard him said it couldn't be from earth, like the world itself had changed for a moment to let him be there. This heavenly music broke the quiet of Jerusalem, filling its ancient streets and holy places with an energy that felt like it came from God. It was as if the heavens had opened up, showing a sight no human could ever fully understand. The sky, once peaceful, now held an amazing display, like the realms of heaven and earth had come together in a moment of incredible revelation. Imagine yourself standing on the ancient stones of Jerusalem, bathed in the warm glow of the sunset. Suddenly, the air fills with the sound of trumpets, not ordinary ones, but trumpets that seem to carry a message beyond human understanding, speaking directly to the hearts of believers and even those who haven't found faith yet. This otherworldly sound is cut short as abruptly as it began, leaving behind an echoing silence filled with the lingering words of the one who played the trumpets. Was it truly Jesus, a divine presence appearing in the heart of this troubled city? Or was it a catalyst, a figure who sparked a change within the people themselves, a change that touched their hearts and minds? Perhaps the answer doesn't matter as much as the change itself. Jerusalem, a city steeped in history and conflict, finds itself on the edge of something new. A cautious hopefulness fills the air, a belief that even amidst hardship, kindness can win. Skeptics remain, of course, but even they can't deny the subtle shift in the city's atmosphere. Jerusalem, once resigned to its fate, now holds the potential for a brighter future, one with a faint scent of miracles and a quiet whisper of hope. Some dismiss these sightings as mere hallucinations or hoaxes, while others see them as proof of a divine presence in the city. The idea of Jesus Christ's return has always been a topic of debate and fascination among religious scholars and believers, and these recent sightings have only fueled the conversation. The rumored discovery of the Ark of the Covenant happening at the same time as the Jesus sightings and the strange humming in Jerusalem has sparked intense speculation about how these events might be connected and what they might mean. Many people believe these aren't just coincidences, but rather interconnected signs pointing towards a major event, possibly even the apocalypse. The Ark of the Covenant, according to the book of Exodus, housed the Ten Commandments, the very foundation of the agreement between God and the Israelites. Its presence signified God's presence and power. But the Bible also warns about the dangers of mishandling the Ark. In the story of Uzzah, a man reached out to steady the Ark during transport and was struck down by God for his mistake. This story highlights the immense power of the Ark and the potential dangers of its rediscovery. Some interpretations suggest the Ark's return could signal a time of intense judgment, where God separates the righteous from the wicked. This aligns with the scary visions of the apocalypse in the book of Revelation, where God unleashes his wrath on a world consumed by sin. Remember the part in Revelation 6:12-17? It describes a massive earthquake, the sun turning black, the moon blood red, and stars falling from the sky. The heavens roll up like a scroll, and mountains and islands disappear. People panic and hide in caves, begging for the mountains to crush them and save them from God's fury. The passage is terrifying because it paints a picture of a world in total chaos, unable to escape the judgment they brought upon themselves. The constant, unsettling hum adds another layer of intrigue to the Jerusalem happenings. Unlike anything mentioned directly in the Bible, some connect it to the dramatic imagery of Revelation's 7 trumpets. Remember, in Revelation 8-11, each trumpet blast unleashes a new wave of destruction on earth. These trumpets are accompanied by terrifying sounds and strange occurrences, possibly echoing the unexplained Jerusalem hum. This interpretation suggests the hum could be a divine warning, a low rumble before the apocalyptic events prophesied in the Bible. The book of Revelation describes the opening of the seventh seal, unleashing trumpet judgments on earth, each signaling God's intervention and judgment. The trumpets bring various disasters: hail and fire raining down, a burning mountain cast into the sea, a star called wormwood poisoning the water. These catastrophic events escalate in intensity, leading to widespread destruction and death. The unsettling Jerusalem hum shares similarities with the ominous sounds that accompany these trumpet judgments in Revelation. While the exact nature and source of the humming remain a mystery, its constant and unnerving presence fuels speculation about its meaning in the context of biblical prophecy. Some interpret the hum as a supernatural phenomenon, a chilling reminder that the apocalypse might be approaching and that divine judgment is upon us. Jerusalem, the ancient holy city, has become a stage for a series of mysterious events, captivating both believers and skeptics. The discovery of the Ark of the Covenant, sightings of Jesus Christ, and the enigmatic humming in the sky have sparked intense debate and profound questions about their significance. We may not know the true nature of these phenomena, but their impact on the world is undeniable. As we continue to explore these events and their potential implications, we are reminded of the power of faith, the irresistible pull of the unknown, and our enduring fascination with the divine and the supernatural.